BJ Bethel, lifelong friend, I guess, of Tony Khan. At least that's the rumors. People say they traded tapes and like playing cards and back in the day. I don't know. So BJ Bethel, very heavily AEW biased. That's entirely fine. But he tweets this out, exclusive. AEW streaming numbers on Max average around 80% of live cable numbers, pushing total viewership to 1 million. And just like that, IWC went crazy. They lost their minds, right? And so these numbers surpass those of like AEW, of course, but like NBA, NFL, things like that. And they expect, and Dave was already apparently proven wrong when he was trying to say it was a 30% increase, let alone 80% of the cable numbers, whatever. I don't know, man. What do you guys make of this? I read the article and he's like actual numbers you guys can see in big letters there. I read the article. Basically, there's an update in it as well saying like, well, the numbers are actually not quite 80%. We're working with janky math essentially, right? Like the numbers change week to week. So it's not actually, so we don't know. This is all just invisible. And he doesn't even say someone from Warner Bros. Discovery told me this. He's like, someone corroborated this like funky math.
Why do these people keep pretending like they actually have some sort of insight? They're journalists. There's anything to it. It's, breaking news. My grandma says I'm handsome. It's like, who gives who gives to at this point? I mean, honestly, maybe if it's cracking 1 million, so it's just a little less of a dismal failure. Is that what we're talking about? Like,
well, it means the feelings restored, Joe. It means that they're coming back. That AEW is back, man, and the feelings restored, and we're gonna get 2020 back. That's what it means to them.
The feelings restored. It's where. I mean, I honest to God have stopped.
In my fingers, bruv. I return tonight.
And what is that feeling anyway? Apathy?
Yeah, right. What's the feeling? Mild concern for everybody involved in the company that someday they might be worth something somewhere else. I don't know what it is.
Target.
Every single week, I feel like this company is just becoming more and more and more irrelevant. So when they do something like, we swears it, more people are watching than the show than they were a month or 6 months prior. Who is believing this? Why would anybody believe it? And what is this BJ Bethel guy? It's like, it's an old pal of Tony Khan.
Yeah.
This is baby, right? Like, this is for babies. I know I say it all the time and it's become cliche, but somebody once again saying like, your grandma says you're a handsome boy, you're a big, strong boy. It's like, that's what this feels like. That's
Hercules.
Yeah. You're just, no, Tony, you're not, wasting hundreds of millions of dollars. You're just big boned. Like,
that's what I mean. Even if it is $1 million, what does that mean ultimately? Because all that happens is that Max, like, they already paid to get AEW on there. So I guess if you want to say like, it means that they're back and there's more intrigue behind it. Sure. But where does this janky math come from? This is exactly what Meltzer does. And I believe it comes from Meltzer because Meltzer jumped to this guy's defense like a rabid cat in an alley. I don't know. Meltzer said what posted this, though, speaking of Meltzer. F4W's pushing more fake AEW Dynamite Max numbers while simultaneously stating they don't know the numbers, have no proof of the numbers, and have no baseline comparison of the Max numbers. Incredible journalism. And so, like, F4W online, yes, close to 1 million with Max. So they're in a live chat, and whoever's running the F4W live chat said that. And MJ from NJ says BJ Bethel's source is a Wrestling Observer radio chat on YouTube. He's literally making up a story to get others. So I guess Bethel attributed it to this. I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy.
Dude, he attributed it to headcanon. He sat up one night and was just like, because remember, he's the only one dangling this carrot. No one has verified or even like been like, hey, the man's right. No one's done that. So yeah, this is all headcanon. Very coincidentally, on the same week that Collision does another terrible number on the same week where Texas's All In has to be moved up from 8 p.m. to 2 p.m. because of the Saturday night's main event lineup happening that same day. So, yeah, anything to deflect, to distract, to obfuscate. Here we are.
How about just the fact that if you're going to make lies, why don't you just make them impressive?
Right. How about that?
That's another
3 million. Like, what's
yeah,
the point, dude? And
if you're going to lie,
right.
just make it worth it. Like,
right. The big lie.
Yeah. And you know it's not true because like Tony Khan would be touting this. He'd be like, oh my God, he hasn't been on Twitter in like 2 days other than to be like, hey, Dynamite's on tonight. He'd be like, we're doing 1 million on Max. You know, he'd be saying that shit. Yeah. So that's how you know automatically it's bogus.
He paid that man off.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you my shiny Charizard if you make sure to write a good article.
I just can't fathom anybody still tuning in and being excited and interested in this. I mean, of course, the thing is, whenever you mention AEW now, it's always back to some level of WWE. Well, you WWE loyalist, or you just suck off WWE or whatever. Right. I'm like, there's a dozen shows that WWE puts out, and every one of them accidentally is more interesting to me than these AEW shows. You know, like the what's it called? The Evolve show. I'd rather watch a bunch of green 22-year-olds try to figure out what wrestling is in a soundstage. At least then it's, you know, hey, we're just over here trying our best instead of tens of millions of dollars spent on complete, absolute delusional marks, top to bottom, and they're pretending, LARPing that they're being successful, and then putting out feelers for the concept of they're getting as many views as Dr. Pimple Popper. It's not anything that's worth nothing that's worth your eyes, nothing that's really worth your time. That's the unfortunate thing.
So this thing broke the internet. Yeah, I'm positive though. Tony Khan traded like, this is my best All Japan female division tape. You better take good care of it, okay? Just write that good story.
Is BJ Bethel in the tri-state area?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if he is, I believe he got paid off with some Dynasty tickets in Philly.
Oh shit.
Well, I mean, it's not really paying off something if somebody's giving it away for free anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, free torture rack over here.
Wait, did you pay him off with sunshine? Is that what it was? Well, they're giving it away. It's not of any value. No, but that's what it is. It's just you end up in this position where you have people like that. This is an old friend of Tony Khan, so Tony gets to play, and his friends get to play too. And then the other people that knew him through the grapevine also get to play. And you thought that this would start to dissipate by year 6, but it seems to be continuing to be so. So great, odd.
The TV Grim Reaper posted this, the Nielsen gauge. So they don't have anything to do with wrestling, okay? And we covered this chart before, but here's the Nielsen gauge. So this is what like Meltzer and them use all the time. They're always talking about Nielsen, even though Netflix is like, well, we use Video Amp or whatever. But just look at Max, right? So they're like a 1.2% of like the streaming. You know what I mean? So even if you narrow it down to Nielsen, it's like if Nielsen was registering 500,000 people watching AEW on Max. And again, this isn't to like disprove it. None of that. Meltzer plays with charts and all the numbers and everything. Okay, so I'm just following that. And I'm just being objective. So nobody even accused me. So you look at Max, it's like if they had 500,000 people watching anything, that'd be crack their top 10. You have to believe that. No? Am I wrong about that? I mean, I'm not a numbers guy. Like,
no, you'd be correct.
Oh.
Yeah, like, I mean, people smarter than me have definitely, well, I mean, here, Switchblade points it out. Netflix, Max, and Peacock viewing share of Feb 2025, according to Nielsen. Max share is down 0.1% year on year. Peacock is up 0.1%. Netflix share is up 0.4%. In other words, Max is down 7.7 over the last however long. WBD is just hurting. Peacock is up 7. So I don't know. This was just from before. I keep this chart to remind us, like, this is what they like to talk about is Nielsen. Here's what Nielsen's saying. Like, the number one show on Max isn't even touching Netflix just based off how much people are watching it, essentially. I don't know. Moving along. So Switchblade posts this, okay? And he, again, this is why I support this. And a lot of people jumped at me when I quote tweeted this, or I put this under something I said about this whole situation.
Yeah, dude, did you see his quote tweets? Holy cow, they hated
Insane.
him.
They want this guy's head, dude, on a stake.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is like, at least, here's the whole thing, right? Meltzer just says, and a bunch of people were like, well, this is nothing. He pulled this out of thin air. Thank you for proving the point. At least he's being objective and showing his math, though, or at least showing some estimation on numbers. And if you ask him about any one of these things, he will get into more detail with you of how he came up with it. Unlike Meltzer and these other people who don't do that, okay? And here's the thing. If you want to say this is nothing list pulled out of nowhere, then exactly you prove the point. So is Dave, so is BJ Bethels. And that's the point I'm making, okay? However, this guy,
I think Switchblade is over the target, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. It's too much research. It's too concise. It's too logical. It makes sense. And you should have, as you've seen, I don't know if you saw it, Joey, but the quote tweets, oh, this guy's a loser. He does nothing but do numbers all day. But what about Brandon Thurston? What about Dave Meltzer and his soy sauce colored hair? What about all these guys that spend all this time using data and statistics? But if a guy comes out of the woodwork, shows his work like every other elementary school teacher told you to do,
right?
He gets on. It's crazy. Amazing.
It is insane. It's really amazing how, oh yeah, look at the numbers. Like Bethel just goes, someone corroborated this. I just pulled out of my ass. Amazing. Bravo. See that, Fed dorks, over 1 million viewership. But this guy does math. Oh, you're not allowed to do that math though. Oh, that math's not okay. You know, it's so stupid.
Well, all this is saying at this point is it's just even lowballing or even possibly just kind of approximating something that honest people already know is happening.
Right.
Where they're, oh, well, that seems impossible. It's like, I don't think any of the things that I'm looking at on this list are pie in the sky.
Yeah, they're not, bro. So we're going to break this shit down, man. Like Switchblade says, it's estimated that AEW lost $77.5 million in 2024. This would be the biggest loss of any wrestling company in history in a single year. As the new TV deal kicks in, if non-TV revenues and expenses stay the same, AEW should make an estimated $14 million profit in 2025. That makes sense to me. When I'm like, oh, they got Dave Meltzer saying they got this upwards $180 million deal. I'm like, okay, but the amount they've spent in the last 6 years, like if they get in the green this year, awesome. It's not hand over fist the way WWE is, like billions of dollars. Like they'll make 14 million. Okay, now they're in the green. They're talking, you know? But here's basically his detailed look at all of this. The TV rights. And again, I'm sure he's using, if you backtrack, I guarantee his math aligns with Meltzer's, where he's coming up with this like 87 million, because that's what Meltzer wants.
Every piece of evidence that he has in this thing comes from these so-called legitimate sources. They never once expected somebody to be so intrepid as to compile all the numbers from the last 3, 4, or 5 years, and it really scares the out of them.
So TV rights 87.6 million. You have pay-per-view 27.9. We'll just round it 28 million. You got 8 million for advertising and sponsorship. Live events 23.5 million. About 1 million advertising and sponsorship. Consumer products. So e-commerce, like he has it down to a T, right? 5.2 million venue merch, 5.7 million licensing, will just be 5.75, a high 0.75 million, you know, to pull a Dave Meltzer. Operating expenses, live event production is almost 100 million. Makes sense. Talent, 109 million. And this is the one everyone's hung up on. Oh, you think they spend 109 million on talent? Yes, bro. Yeah. That is being so generous. So again, to trudge over a bunch of we've already trudged through in PWT history. We've chronicled it here. You can go back. You guys know this. the Bucks say we both signed NBA level deals. This is a few years ago, unprecedented levels. Okay, so what is that, like 10 million then each? Mercedes Monet's in for 10 million, so the EVP's got to be more than that. We know that the whole Hurt Syndicate came in for 10 million. Apparently, Fightful confirmed Okada's making 4.5 million. So it isn't Ospreay getting isn't Ospreay getting 8 million as well? That's like his overall over the years he's there.
Right.
It's like an 8 million total deal or whatever. So you guys, yes, and then that's not even talking about, Shelton Benjamin, MVP, Chris Jericho, Moxley, Edge, Danielson, Saraya. I know she's gone, but they still just paid her $1 million for the last year or whatever. That's all these people. And I know for a fact, and chat, from people who've jumped in the chat, there's who've been paid 6 figures to stand in the background and clap. Okay. Let's just put it that way. All right. So you guys got to understand. Yes, they are paying 100 million's like low. I'm like, oh, that's a fair, you know what I mean? Like that's like a low estimate. It wouldn't shock me if it was far more than that.
Well, this is the most interesting thing about the people that look at that and go, that's impossible. These are also the same. Oh God, I don't even know how to say this nicely, but these are also the same people who are just bragging and so excited about, well, they're going to have somewhere else to work.
And get paid so much money, and they're going to make so much. Oh, you want them to not get paid money? And it's like, okay, then why are you saying, oh, no, they get paid lower than that, actually? You guys are dumb. They're not actually worth all this money. Like, is that what you guys are saying? I get what
it's the only metric. It's the only metric where AEW is competitive with WWE.
Right.
They outprice their talent, and WWE can't compete. But there's one thing, and I'm looking at this chart. I'm noticing some numbers here. I noticed the second lowest number, and it's logical, it makes sense, is in advertising and sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've been told that you want to spend a boatload of marketing because you get that money back due to the fact that you are now having brand awareness. People know what the hell you are. People know who you are. But they've only spent under $1 million on advertising and sponsorship. Like, give me a break.
Have you seen Will Ospreay?
Right.
He sells himself. Like this. This is all underwear gnomes logic. That's all it is. Like, get Okada ? Success. That is what you're dealing with here. So when people have these conversations trying to relay some sort of business savvy to people that don't understand niche, smart Japanese wrestling television shows that draw 72,000 people are not worth the price of like a first round draft pick running back in the NFL. They're like baffled by this. They're like, wait, come on. Huh? How does that not translate? It's baby time. It's baby time. That's what people want to have the wrestlers look and appear and feel like big, successful stars that are in a big, successful wrestling company. And the second somebody goes, hey, wait a second, why is this person getting so much money? The first thing they want to do is go, well, what are you going to fucking pocket watch them? What do you want these wrestlers to starve? Do you want them to be poor?
Right.
And it's like, dude, believe me. And I always feel like I have to reiterate this on my own show very frequently. I'm not
Wrestling Soup, by the way. Go and subscribe and listen everywhere. Sorry.
Get over there. I constantly have to bring up the point. Like, I'm not against people. Like, what do you want the boys to not make money? And I'm like, yes, but there is this point where you go, what's the old saying there? Like the giving tree, or no, let me find a better analogy. You got the ocean, right? We can't pull all the fish out of the ocean because then we'll get it all once. And then we're like, oh, now there's no more fish, right? Oh, we can get them all in one fell swoop, or, if we take a reasonable amount over time, we can continue to do that. But that's not the game ploy of professional wrestlers and what they've ever been, which is why it can't be run by a mark with a bottomless bank account, because people are going to take advantage of them. And since most of these fans don't they don't live in a world where there's like money and numbers and cents and value. Like there's no value of it to them. So they just go, "Oh, the wrestlers, they're worth millions of dollars because I like them. I like them, so they're worth $1 million.
Right.
They're
One
worth
man's
10
trash. One man's trash is another man's treasure, you know, like
Right,
you
right.
value, because people say, oh, they're overpaid. And it's like, well, that's subjective. It's like, I guess, right. If you have the money and you want Osprey that bad, you'll get Osprey. But then you can't get mad when people criticize you for not doing what you should have done, or like booking Osprey correctly and then saying, oh, that's too much money you paid for him. If you're not going to
Dude, whatever happened to like, I'll pay you what you deserve. Whatever happened to that logic?
Yeah, well, there's a whole industry to this, and it once again goes back to anything money related, business related. It's called the price point. You know, there's what people are willing to pay based off the product, what it looks like, how it makes them feel, what they interpret as this is something that's worth spending X, right? So if you're in this position where you're going, hey guys, relax, Okada's making almost as much money as Roman Reigns. That's gonna confuse the out of people who've watched both things, but to a very small group of people, they go, well, yes, why? Of course, that's the same thing. Okada and Roman Reigns are the same thing. And if you can fool them into believing that, then they go, well, I don't understand why no one else sees this. I don't understand why not everyone else.
I don't understand.
One guy ropes them in. The one guy ropes them in. The other guy runs people away. They're equal. Makes no sense.
So Switchblade here, man, he backs up all of his math pretty much, and he says, like, here's Dave Meltzer's highest estimate. That was 85. I'm giving them 87.6. He's even giving them more than even what Meltzer and them have estimated. You understand? So he's even being generous here with his math, and he backs it all up as best as he can. And I would love for Meltzer to do the same thread and just back your up, bud. That's all. And until then, we're going to keep this in the bookmarks and keep an eye on this.
Yeah, dude, you know what I mean? Dave ran from this tweet, by the way. Ran from it. He was tagged at least 6 times.
So I went incredibly viral. I don't know if you guys saw that, though. I've covered this a couple times, but just to sort of touch on what we were saying and people, you know, getting paid what they are. You know, Mercedes Monet said AEW has reignited my fire, passion, and deep-seated love of wrestling. And she's getting paid millions. Or I wrote, getting paid millions to never lose and have full creative control will do that. We got 11,000 likes and almost 600,000 impressions. It's pretty fucking crazy. Yeah, just for like saying something offhand that like I wasn't even really dissing her. It's just an objective thing. Like I'd be happy too if I had, you know what I mean? That'd be amazing if I could do that. So I don't know. Went incredibly viral. Just to add to what we were saying, to add some context here, the GOAT Bret Hart was on Ariel Helwani's show. Okay, and this is what he had to say about AEW and their wrestlers. Okay, this is the GOAT here. This isn't me taking shots. This is here. I actually have a GOAT sound for the GOAT. Which, okay, here we go.
Do you watch the product now?
I try to. I do. I watch certain guys, and I try to watch the pay-per-views. I find in a lot of wrestlers, and I won't necessarily name anybody, but I find.
Now, to me, this feels like a criticism of all wrestling in general, no, at the start, but then he does go, and specifically in AEW, so he specifies more, but he starts out by just saying there's a lot of wrestlers, you know?
That's for sure. There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
I find that the wrestlers are more actors pretending to be wrestlers today than actual wrestlers. Like, I miss
like that Bill Goldberg, you know? That guy sucks.
The ruggedness of the characters, like you know, guys like Kurt Hennig and myself, or Dynamite Kid, or that whole era of wrestlers that, you know, broke into the business in the 70s or late 70s and early 80s. We kind of we were still real. We were from the Harley Race, Terry Funk kind of generation, trying to copy them or mimic them, or, you know, top them. And I think that's why I still think the 90s was the best era of wrestling. You know, when I watch some of that old 90s.
Ding, 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 ding.
His earbud falls out.
Leave my man alone. Keep going.
I know, man. This legend here, dude.
90s wrestling. It was really good. Really good stuff. And I find that today's wrestling, it's a little bit more about promos and your character on TV and not so much.
Bret Hart's sorry to interrupt, Joe. I'll let you go, but listen, man, Bret Hart's promos and character was still better than like 90% of the we get on any program, you know. So it's crazy. He's even saying that. What were you gonna say?
No, but that's what the show is about for the most part now. I mean, WWE specifically, it's a talky talk show. We know that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not saying that like as like an arms crossed smark, being like, oh, it's a manual wrestling, but it is. It's a character show. It's a character-based talk. What's going on? Who has what problems with who? That's 100% what it is. And AEW, like I said, I have barely watched it in months. I don't even find it worth.
Lucky you! Holy
yeah, dude, it's not even worth me watching to make fun of at this point. Because it's to what end? It's a parody of itself. At some point, watching that show is sort of like when, I'll date myself here a little bit, 10, 15 years ago, whenever, when you used to hear other grown-ass men be like, Justin Bieber, he sucks.
Yeah.
You're like, well, it's not
the guy who sings baby.
Yeah. It's not for you, other 30-year-old man, believe it or not.
Right.
Like, this is not for you. So, this is my opinion on this. Well, nobody wants this for you. You don't want it for you. They don't want it for you. So why waste your time? Yeah. But Bret Hart is saying, this is kind of what wrestling is now. So why am I? This is Justin Bieber for Bret Hart. It's just going to be that way. He's a grizzled 60-something-year-old old Canadian man who had a dad that used to gouge people's eyes out. You'll have to
fish hook him.
Yeah, you'll have to forgive him if he's not particularly psyched on. What was one of the matches on the AEW card there?
John Moxley's spike back bump.
Yeah, for some reason that doesn't resonate with him, or I don't know, Swerve Strickland's drinking bleeding blood or stabbing a needle with any of this. Yeah, it's not for him. It's not for him.
What I find funny though is, Joe, is that an awful. I want your thoughts on this. Like a lot of some of the sickos, as they dub themselves, right? So they are like fan-splaining wrestling to what is considered one of the realest and greatest technical wrestlers of all time. And they're the company that, and they're the company that apparently are like the real wrestling fans. We love real wrestling. Bret Hart's like the realest wrestler, right? And now they're going to explain to him what the wrestling is and stuff. Like, what do you make of all that, Awful?
It's hilarious. This man has been in numerous WrestleMania main events. He's done over 30 years of professional wrestling. Probably one of the greatest professional wrestlers that you'll ever see. And you've got Air Gold telling this man what's what as far as, you know what I mean? Like, who are you, dude? You're in some third world. Oh, excuse me. You're somewhere else. And this man is on Ariel Hawaii. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, come on now. These people who are talking about Bret Hart tells you everything you need to know. The man just simply stated his opinion. And I like what you said, Joey. This product isn't for us or Bret Hart. It's for the younger people. But guess what? Come Thursday, the young people of America will speak because AEW will not hit over 700,000. And by the way, isn't it funny how last week it was all about WBD doesn't give a shit about what people think about the online chatter considering ratings. And now this week it's, hey, we're almost at 1 million.
Yeah, I know.
With Max numbers. Crazy.
It's amazing to me that people are still watching anything with Bret Hart and allowing themselves to not, like, they're shocked that he doesn't like the things that they like.
Yeah.
They're just blown away. Like, Wait a second.
the people though saying he's like on a WWE Legends deal too, though. They're like, well, he's just saying this because he's on a Legends deal now. And
You
it's
think
like,
he gives a
yeah, like this guy is still trash WWE. Like he's done it to this day, man. You catch him on one of the
hate Hunter,
dude. He doesn't give a man. You mean the guy who punched Vince and didn't give a like, doesn't care,
right?
has always said this type of stuff, and I mean, it's just ridiculous to think
told
that
Hunter he's a piece of
you
know,
like
come on.
It's insane, man. It's insane to think that a Legends deal is going to entice him. They're all the same. Like, do you think it's this astronomical amount of money? Like, he gets to be in the video game. They get to make shirts with his name on it. He gets a cut of it. Like, and they're the biggest marketing merch machine. Like, a huge part of WWE is moving merch. So it's just crazy to me. They think like a Legends deal would make him keep it real. You guys love it when he's like Goldberg and Eric Bischoff's a clown. You guys love that. But then you hate it when he's like, well, you know, in AEW, they're a bunch of dirt bags and lily pickers. Now,
dude, there is, like I said, there is no way that anybody that's just being honest with themselves thinks that he is seeing John Moxley and going, yeah, that's it. Right. That's the guy. Like, why? You don't need people to agree with you. Just like it. Just like the thing. That to me is one of the biggest problems that has been following AEW and pro wrestling probably for the last decade. And by the way, I mean, I've been around on the internet for wrestling, or even in, you know, whatever you want to say, for a quarter of a century. And never now more than ever in recent years has it been this thing where you just can't like it. Everybody has to agree that it's fantastic. Everyone has to agree. Everybody has to agree with you that this is the best. And not only that, but 65-year-old men who there's no chance in hell that they could care less about what you like. It's like, oh, man, they better agree. They better think this is real good. They better love every minute of this. Like, I just don't see where this happens outside of the wrestling sphere. I'm not sure if this is an occurrence. I don't know if 20-something-year-old college girls demand their grandmothers like Chapel Rowan. But that's a wrestling.
I don't even know who that is. Everybody talks about her. I see her online. I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't name you one song. I don't even.
Well, you know what, dude? That's just because
I'm 33, bro. Like, I'm not. You know.
Well, that's just because you're on Lady Gaga's payroll.
Yeah,
like, you just don't know. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's not. It's not for most people. And that's where, when you get these, I can't believe that Bret Hart doesn't like this. Why? Why? What did you think he was going to do? It's the same thing as like when Undertaker was a MAGA guy, or is a MAGA guy. And people go, Undertaker's a MAGA guy? He's a guy in his 50s from Texas. Did you think he was a Bernie, bro? That rides motorcycles? What did you think he was going to be? Do you think
or when he said he was back in the day when there was guns in the locker room, everyone got triggered? It's like, well, that's what it was back then. Like, I don't understand why that triggers people. You know,
these people drove around. They drove around the country in rental cars
with bags full of money and stinky wrestling gear in a duffel bag. You know what I mean, dude? It's crazy to think like, they had guns, dude. It was the Wild West. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, people used to sit around and drink and have conversations, you know, like that. Sometimes it wouldn't go well.
Read a book.
Because you know the people on the internet that when someone's like, hey, I don't like the same wrestling as you, and it's like, you're mentally ill and scary. That used to be people sitting at a VFW, and they would want to hurt you because you looked at them the wrong way and you were in the middle of nowhere. And sometimes they just wanted to with you because you were a 6'4", 270-pound person, as opposed to what people see now, which is that no matter what would happen, they would cower away from anybody that had an issue with them. You know, like that's the ethos of the wrestling fans to begin with now. But no, it's just very amusing to me that there's still even a point of people now having seen Bret for all this time where one, what does he know? That's hilarious. And two, why isn't he on board with Hangman Page?
Well, they both wear pink, bud. I mean, come on, they can Here, let's get through this clip here.
Work rate, and I like guys that throw back a little bit more to the work rate. Like Roman Reigns is a guy that for example, that I think tries really hard to earn the respect of my generation and be more realistic and
Lift
just
weights.
more credible, more believable.
What?
Lift weights.
Not so much an actor. And I find that, especially AEW, that I find that they're mostly actors trying to pretend to be wrestlers, and they ought to get on with this real wrestling.
Bang, bang.
Bang, dude. Shots fired there. Dude, awful. What do you think of that?
It's lovely. But I just want to know how it's going to, yeah, it's beautiful. But I would like to know how this is going to play into the Owen Hart, or should I say Owen Carp tournament, as Mercedes Mosinay like to say.
It's crazy that he did this right before the tournament announcement tonight, too.
It's so crazy? Serendipitous. I love it.
Oh, my goodness.
I love it. I love the idea still, too, of whatever you want to say about Bret. If we want to bring it back to a money type conversation, there's no way that he also doesn't hear that, the Young Bucks or Monet or these people are making millions upon millions of dollars. And that also doesn't shade his opinion. You can't not have your opinion shaded by that. Like I said, it's the same thing as price points. Oh, how much was that steak? Oh, well, I mean, it was really, really good. It was like $100. I went to some pretty nice steakhouse, and they're like, oh, wow, okay, was a good cut of steak. But if somebody gives you some sort of chopped up nasty steak-um and they try to charge you $100 for it, you're like, whoa, wait a second. Hey, that's a ripoff. And you're like, correct. Yes. There's Hangman Page. There's a Steak-'em. They're the Young Bucks. There's a Steak-'em. Right. There's Mercedes Monet. There's a Steak-'em in a wig. Like, you just, it's all you're overpaying for something that's not particularly good. And
sir, you're in the hospital cafeteria.
Right.
You're looking for, dude. This guy, Mark the Lord Peruccio, says, I don't get it. SRS and Zarian said WBD is happy with AEW. Bethel report proved it, but this person apparently had a breakdown because it's not going how he wanted, talking about Switchblade. And then Switchblade's like, people are conflating the issue. Once again, WBD may very well be happy with AEW. That doesn't mean they're doing 500K on Max. And that's realistically the overall thing. Like, Bethel's Max numbers for NBA are fake beyond any reasonable doubt. So there's another instance where he's got numbers, and I'm going to trust Switchblade looked into that for us. Right, guys? Like, if I challenge him on that, I bet he'll hit me with his work. So I'm cool. I'm going to trust him on that over like a Meltzer who will just block you and cry. We have official numbers disproving them, which casts doubt on all his other Max numbers. So bickety bang, that's just him dispelling just a good little response I put in there.